and welcome to our 109th episode of the Gutenberg Changelog podcast. In today's episode, we will talk about Gutenberg 19.4, creating a block theme, responsive navigation block plugin, and more. I'm your host, Birgit Pauli-Haack, curator at the Gutenberg Times and a full-time core contributor for the WordPress open source project sponsored by Automatic. Today, I'm delighted to team up with Anne Katzeff once more to spread the joy of WordPress. Anne is a theme developer and who has embraced block themes and posts regular in the outreach channel with questions and helps others as well. Anne and I, we met in Florida and we are co-organizers of the local WordPress meetup. And she became a dear friend. Welcome to the show, Anne. How are you today?
Hi, Birgit. It's great to see you. Always enjoy talking with you. I'm doing well today. Thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. I finally got over my cold. I might still sound a little hoarse like the last episode, and I apologize for that. I didn't know until I listened to it how bad it actually was. Yeah. So, Anne, you shared your learning on building your first block theme in a series of blog posts. So let me go right in there. What were your biggest wins looking back in your approach of building themes?
All right, let's dive right in. As I was reviewing it, I realized that way back, the seed of it was being invited to be a test case for the Create Block Theme plugin. And a couple of folks on that development team zoomed in with me and watched me live use the plugin, my first time using it. So I didn't know anything. It was really interesting for all of us because, there was this learning curve and they were trying not to interfere and ask questions. So I was tester and they monitored me, and that experience gave me the confidence to start exploring block theme design. And so I was quickly a fan of the Create Block Theme plugin. The very first clear takeaway for me at that time, it was still the font embedment was still part of that plugin, and it's now been introduced into core. And I think that's part of what the plugin's role is to serve as a exploration platform, and those features that people really find useful are gradually taken into core and become part of that. So that was the first one. And then creating a child theme. So I've always created child themes. I know how to do them in various ways, but to just have that one button to do it, it was like, oh, yay. And then I went through a series of pain points as I was I was actually working on a real site and doing all this for the first time with block themes. So I got familiar with global settings, and my first pain point was the content and wide measurements. I didn't understand that. So I had to play around with that and wrap my brain around it. And then segueing from there into the group layout settings, that was a real pain point for me. It was like, what? What are you talking about? So all these new concepts. And for me to learn these things, I just play around. I'm not afraid to make mistakes. So I just try this, try that. And I got a feeling for how all those things work, found the connection between nested or group blocks and the width characteristics within them. And I realized, God, there's so much flexibility in this building of block themes. So then I went on to navigation, another pain point for me. It really was a completely different way of constructing a menu. So that took a lot of exploration, a lot of challenges. And I think I figured it out logistically, how to add the pages and posts. That wasn't the problem. The problem was more how to style it. So in global settings, you have your typography, your colors, and your layout. And I saw colors, links just weren't really applying to what was happening in the navigation. So I gradually discovered that you have to go into the template, or rather the template part. Let me look at my notes because I had to review all this yesterday. Like, okay, so how does this work? Yeah, it's styled in the block of a nav pattern, which is my process, and then that's placed into a template.
So say that again. Your process is to create a pattern, put the navigation block in there, and then add that pattern to a header?
To a header, yeah. Right. So in case, because of the synced part of the pattern, I wanted to be able to edit it globally, I think. This is months ago, so I'm trying to remember what was it that I figured out.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I did. And I've just sort of gradually stumbled onto how to style the navigation and the hover. I think there may be a hover now. Not positive about this, but at the time I had to use custom CSS.
Yeah, for the link, there is now a hover feature in the global style. So you could always do it via the theme JSON file. Yeah. So
true. Right.
Yeah. So you kind of ventured out to create or design the theme right in the site editor, and kind of setting up first your color palettes, then your typography, and then the layouts. So that's the width and the wide width kind of thing. And then you try to do the header and the navigation and everything in a child theme. Is that kind of
that you got it? Yeah. So theme JSON was a new language for me. And I know HTML and CSS, so I didn't want to dive into that cold. So I'm using the full site editor as a bridge. And that was also part of my learning curve, and my still part of my process is to use the full site editor, make all my or as many customizations in there that I can, along with occasional CSS. See, I come into it I'm a custom CSS gal, but I realized quickly, I don't need to do that anymore. There's really no need for that style CSS file aside from registering the theme. So a little tweak in my process there. And finally, when things are looking good or a certain milestone, I'll save the changes to the theme. Now, I had a lot of trepidation about doing this. I couldn't breathe the first time I did it because I wasn't sure what exactly is going to happen.
Yeah. Is my theme gonna go away?
Is my theme gonna disappear? So I took the leap and did it. And then I exported that theme, and that was a big light bulb for me. Then I realized, if I do that, then I can do version control. Because I have control over the theme files. Once you save what's done in the full site editor, once you save it to the theme, it takes those from the database and puts them into the theme files. That was the key for me. I'm still doing it that way. Yeah. That's where I'm at today.
So that's where you're at today. So did you create new templates for your theme or for that client side?
I probably did. Let me see. Oh, yeah, for the blog part. Yes, I absolutely did. So I used 2024 as my parent theme, and it comes packaged with certain patterns and options for the blog.
That. So the child theme you took from 2024.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you modified it with the colors and the typography and all the other designs.
Yes.
Cool. So, dear listeners, you can read up about that on Anne Katzeff's blog, where she has 4 parts and really goes into the details on how she managed the navigation and the header and why child theme and all that. So
yeah, I wasn't sure how many parts it would turn into.
Right.
So I didn't ever say part 1 of blah, 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 but I think 4 parts, that's it.
Yeah, right now, that's what I found on your blog. I watched it kind of growing a bit, yeah, and
Yeah.
seeing that. You said that you had to try a lot of trial and error to kind of figure things out. How do you feel about creating your second blog theme?
Much better,
Yeah.
much more comfortable. Yeah.
What would you start first with? With what would you start
Well,
with?
strangely enough, the very first time I did all this, created my first blog theme, I actually forgot to create the child theme. So I was like moving along in 2024, making all these modifications. And then I realized, oh, I have to make my child theme. So I wasn't sure again, like what will happen if I do that. So I basically started from scratch because I didn't want to mess up anything. So now it's so crazy, Birgit, because that's always the first step for me is to create a child theme. And I know a lot of people just would take the parent theme 2024 or whatever it is they want to modify and run with it. And that's a perfectly fine way to do it too. It's just that I like to know that my customizations will stick if the 2024 theme is updated. And indeed, it has been updated.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but
what was the question? Oh, was it easier? Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and what would be your first step that you, from the trial and error, what are the learnings kind of, how would you approach it now, apart from creating the child theme first?
Yeah, I would do pretty much what I've already done the first time. So I'd go into, if the child theme is being modified, I'd go through the full site editor and modify my global settings, tackle my navigation almost right away, probably after my global settings with typography, choosing the font and colors and determining what that inner content width should be. Because I think the default is 840 maybe, and that's a little too
728,
narrow
yeah.
for me. Yeah. So I make it a little bit wider. I try to stick with what works and not mess around too much.
So you want your theme to be connected with the 2024. So when that gets updated, your theme gets updated too, but you keep the modifications from.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the Create Block theme plugin also gives you two more choices. One is to clone the current theme. So then you
Right.
make it a new theme, which is not, it's detached from 2024. And the other one is that you can start a theme from scratch. It's not entirely from scratch, but you get the bare minimum on templates and hardly any presets for that. So you can kind of go into the theme JSON or in your site editor and start from a white background, pretty
Yep.
much. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So you don't have, I'm not quite sure what the trigger would be to actually use a child theme with that setting. Because yeah, if you can clone it, then you get it, but then the updates from 2024 you wouldn't get.
I think I do it with client work as a good fallback for them, like a safety net. If I were designing a theme to submit to the repository, I would probably use the clone feature and not worry so much about any updates because it would be a standalone theme. So that's kind of the delineation for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I find it very interesting to talk to theme developers and how they.
Yeah.
So, what are the new concepts that you find easier now that you went through both of them? The classic theme, yeah, long time classic theme developer, and now building block themes. What was the shift? You need to think a little bit differently with block theme. Was there
Well,
anything
as
that
a
you could nail down?
user of block themes, that was an easy transition for me. But yet clients still struggle with that. I think they get initially intimidated, and then once I do some tutorials with them, they go, "Oh, okay, I'm good." But getting into the full site editor, there were several new concepts, primarily like templates. I understood, but template parts and patterns. I wasn't quite sure what is the exact difference here. And gradually I came to understand blocks are the place that we begin. We take a bunch of blocks to form patterns, perhaps, and then we can reuse those patterns if they're synced into the template parts. And the template parts are what form the layouts for the templates. So once I played around with all those different things, I understood the sequence, and they are building blocks, literally. And I also figured out, template parts are actually mini templates. They're like little guys that could stand on their own maybe at some point in time.
Yeah.
So it all kind of started to fall into place. I got a nice comment this morning on part 3 of my blog series, which is about the header, and where I explain that pattern of blocks to patterns to template parts to templates. And the person appreciated the breakdown. I went, I'm always relieved when people find value in what I say. It's like, okay, someone's listening. Someone like me, like Sally Field, So that it was validating to get that feedback.
Yeah.
So that was the big concept for me. And then little tweaks in the language with the Create Block Theme plugin. Some of the options at the very beginning are still there now, but I think the language was tweaked, or maybe it was just my evolution, because perhaps the saving changes to the theme was always there. Was it always there?
Yeah.
There was
a core feature of the Create Block theme, that you could take everything out of the database into a theme and have it in the files.
And it seems so straightforward now when we're talking about it, but I think, on some level I got it, but on another level I really didn't. And so I was scared. I was scared to do that. But then I
you braved it.
I did. And it's like a miracle.
Yeah.
Now, the outreach channel is a great place where we can almost talk directly with developers, including the wonderful Create Block Theme plugin team, and get answers to our questions. Like no question seems to be a silly one in that Slack channel, which is nice.
Yeah, so dear listeners, I think we talked about it before with Jessica Lishik as well, that the outreach channel is definitely a place where you can meet a few of the developer theme builders and also block builders. And also, I know that there are quite a few that hang out there, like Justin Tadlock and Nick Diego, myself, and a few others. Yeah, I know that Rich Tabor once in a while kind of looks at some of the questions, because it's really important to figure out what is not working right or what is not explained right. And to find the difference about it, we need to have a conversation, and that's the place to have the conversation. So recently I had a conversation. It was not in the channel, but I realized that there is another way to, in the site editor on the right hand side, when you create a template, you can also click on a design section underneath it, and then you get different ways to form the templates. And those are actually patterns, template patterns, pretty much. So that they have a theme, they have a template type, and then you say archive. So when you create a new archive template, you get a suggestion of a series of patterns if they with the theme. Yeah, and that was kind of really something that I had a hard time getting my head around. Where does it all live? And it lives in the pattern directory of a default theme. You'll find them in the 2024. You also will find them in 2025. Yeah, so that's another way of offering your theme users multiple ways to skin the cat, or to display some of the things that you want to display, like on an archive page for a category or a single post template, and you have multiple patterns of those, then you can offer them when they click on new template or switch them out.
Yeah. And then there are all those patterns on WordPress.org that you can just, if you're logged in, it's so easy. You just copy it, I think.
Yeah.
not remembering off the top of my head, but it's
Yeah.
a
It will be
wonderful
added to
feature.
your canvas. Yeah. I think the new zoom out, have you tried with the new zoom out
Oh, yeah.
view? Yeah.
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
think about it?
Well, I have notes about that. Let me gather my thoughts here.
You have notes about
Yeah, I
it.
do, because I had a lot of reactions to it. One last thought before we
Yeah.
segue into that about the patterns. Not only are there some wonderful patterns that can be inspiring, but you can learn so much from their structure on how to do a layout. So they're multi-purpose
Yeah.
patterns out there. So the zoom out separator, I think it begins to address the issue of a very cluttered UI, user interface. There's a lot packed into the real estate here, and we've had ongoing discussions about it. You've got the left and right sidebars, the admin sidebar, the full site editor sidebar, and then if you open up the list view, you've got another sidebar.
Yeah.
Pop-up modals, drop-down submenus. It's really hard to find your way and then remember where you are. So I think this feature is making strides. It still needs work. So far, from what I gather, it looks like just a one-step zoom. I had a thought initially, wouldn't it be cool if it were a magnifying kind of thing? I'm not sure if we need that, but it would be cool. And it's almost currently like a toggle on and off. We're starting to get a number of view related options, I noticed, because that zoom thing is tucked between several other icons up on that upper right corner, the display and other things.
Yeah. The preview.
The preview, yeah. And I'm thinking when you reach a certain threshold of stuff that is related, can't we find a way to group them and reduce that clutter?
Yeah.
These are just some of the thoughts I had. But
Yeah, you're right.
the other thing that happened while I was looking at this and seeing all the work being done, there's a great discussion on GitHub as this feature evolves. And to me, it was such a wonderful example of WordPress collaborative team work. Some snippets of the conversation are like during the act of dragging, everything else should be inert. Ah, yes. And then another one, we can be much better at changing the visual appearance of the editor, highlighting drop zones, for instance. It's great stuff. If you have the time to read through it, it just made me so appreciative of the details
What
and
people think about that.
people are working really hard at this stuff. And it's not a simple fix sometimes. It takes discussion and testing. So you've put the issue out there, there's some discussion, and then there's testing, and then there's resolution and tweaking, and it's very cool. It made me really happy to be a part of it, even as an observer.
Yeah, it's a great description how actually things are getting done in Gutenberg, and how many people are kind of working on it and discussing it. So the zoom out view is right now, I think the biggest advantage is when you're working with patterns and you're trying to create a page with a subset of patterns. So you have a hero pattern, then you have a services pattern, and then you have a post pattern, and you kind of want to assemble one page with all the different patterns. So you actually, and then afterwards, and that's how you use the zoom out, yeah, because it only highlights the sections. So the drop zone is between the patterns, so you're not putting a pattern inside another pattern and inside another pattern, which I have done multiple times. And I said, oh, well, how get myself out of it again? So I got a real trouble thing there. And so for that, it's really good, because then you can just, and there on the left-hand side with the zoom out, there are 4 or 5 action items that you can do. One is delete a full pattern, which is sometimes really difficult. And then you can move a pattern up and down, just if you had it in the wrong place. Yeah, those are the 2 things that I can remember for those.
Yeah, reducing the number of distractions.
Yes, that's pretty much kind of a single purpose kind of zoom kind of thing. And when you're done with all the patterns, you can zoom in again with clicking on the toggle again, and then manage all the single blocks that you have there now with the pattern. So yeah, changing the images, changing the headlines, changing the text, and you don't have to worry about the patterns again. I think that's right now the biggest advantage of using zoom out. I think it's not particularly helpful in any other context right now because, but it's also, you can't select a single block while in zoom out. Yeah, you have to get out of zoom out before to do that. So it kind of separates the concerns a little bit and takes care of the overwhelm. That's my opinion. When I was working with them,
totally.
there are, I think 50 patterns in the 2025 or so. So it's really interesting to kind of move them around and match them, mix and match them. Yeah. So any other insight that you want to share with our listeners about your blog theme building adventures before we go into our announcements and into the rest of the show?
Let's see. While you were talking about all that, I was thinking about the navigation again. And now we mentioned there's a new mobile option on that, which I have yet to explore, but I've been seeing posts about it on Twitter. So get ready. Hold on to your hats.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit later about that. That's a new plugin to test things out. But we can talk about it now. So Dave Smith, who's a core contributor on Gutenberg and has actually worked on the navigation blog quite a bit before, he's now working on the zoom out. And he's also a release lead for 6.7. He created a standalone plugin where you can have a responsive navigation block. So it comes with two variations, a navigation block for desktop and a navigation block for mobile. And you can style them differently. So you need to install the plugin, and then you can create the different navigation blocks for a certain header template. And then
would it pick up automatically? It picks up the content from the regular navigation?
No, you need to design it. You need to design. Okay, is it a desktop or is it a mobile kind of thing? And you can rename them as well. Yeah. So Dave did a longer video, like 25 minutes. I haven't watched it completely, but I will share the link to it in the show notes. I went for Jamie Marshland's 3-minute piece.
Yeah.
Because it all came out today or yesterday kind of thing. So I didn't get a chance.
It's hot off the press.
Hot off the press, yes.
Yeah.
So you install it and then you decide, okay, which one is the desktop, which one is the mobile. And then you can give the mobile a different background or something like that. And then it picks up on and even when you look at or edit the mobile block, navigation block, it actually reduces the canvas to a mobile size.
Oh,
so it's also
you get a preview.
That part of it. You get a preview of
nice.
How it is. So it's also using some of the zoom out, zoom in kind of methods in the background.
Oh, the mind, how it works.
So it's kind of really interesting. So we share the link in the show notes. And then also to the 2 videos, so you can kind of learn more about it, dear listeners.
Now, you were saying you can rename those menus, and that just sparked another memory for me, because yesterday I think I wanted to rename a pattern, and I wasn't able to do it. I was like, really? I can't rename a pattern?
Well, was it your own pattern, or was it a pattern that came from the theme?
Well, it's all mine now because it's embedded in my child theme.
Right. But when you said, okay, if it's in the theme, you probably are not able to. So you need to duplicate it first to rename it.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Or you go into your files. Yeah. If you have them and rename it there. Yeah. Because they don't want, I don't think it's something that you want to rename the pattern from your theme, because when the update comes, it kind of will overwrite stuff again. If it's the same.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's kind of that one.
Always something to experiment with. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we have announcements, dear listeners. WordPress 6.7 Beta 2 has come out. and is ready for testing. Remember, final release is November 12th, and it's coming closer and closer. Now, the WordPress test team also has some great instructions to how you can assist in testing the new versions. It's in the Help Test WordPress 6.7, aptly titled post. It's a long post, but it has a great table of content menu where you can kind of pick the feature that you want to test, and then you go in and get some nice instructions. First, a little explanation how it's supposed to work, and then some instructions what you can do with it. I went through the theme testing instructions there. This is actually a great way to explore the new theme, and you have
Absolutely.
some testing instructions. Yeah. So go ahead and start testing your own plugins and themes and everything, if they're compatible, how they're compatible to 6.7. The release candidate is scheduled for October 20th. That's also when the field guide comes out. So if you are waiting for the developer notes that come with the field guide, that's the date to look out for. That's also where all the developer related APIs are kind of have all the explanations in there. So are you looking forward to 6.7?
Sure.
Anything in particular?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah. So
as we go through the enhancements, I'll chime in.
All right. Yeah. So there's another development that I wanted to let you know about it. WP GraphQL. It's a way to use GraphQL with a WordPress database, and it's mostly used for headless WordPress developers or by them. Jason Ball has started working for Automatic and brings his WP GraphQL plugin with him, and it's going to be a canonical plugin, meaning it's going to be a plugin that will be maintained by core developers. So he's back full-time working on the plugin, which he couldn't do at WP Engine. So that is a great development out of that. And I remember 2018, or was it even 17? I think it was 2018 that Jason Ball developed or showcased his WP GraphQL plugin at WordCamp US. And that seems so far away again. Now it's about 6 years. Yeah. And having developed that since then, almost full time, it's really very robust, and a lot of enterprise level websites are actually built on top of it. Yeah, because they want to integrate WordPress with other data and need to use WordPress for the content management or content creation. But the other websites or the website that use that content is also connecting with other data. So they needed a front end on top of it that's in JavaScript or any other, maybe Next.js or something like that. But the WGraphQL kind of connects all those pieces. It's really cool.
Wow, sounds cool.
Yeah. And there is a new developer hours on the schedule, and it will change the broadcast method. So if you are a regular attendee of the developer hours every 2 weeks of the month, you had to go to Zoom first and then log in, and had to be a meetup first, then on Zoom first, and then you were able to kind of attend the developer hours. Now all these processes are shortened, and it will be a live stream on the WordPress channel on YouTube. So you just kind of subscribe to that. It's announced there. And I will share, of course, the link in the show notes. The next developer hours is happening on Tuesday, October 15th. And on 1500 UTC, that's, if my calculations are correct, that's 5 p.m. Central Europe time or 11 a.m. Eastern time. And that's directly from the YouTube channel. You don't have to log in. You only have to log into YouTube, which you probably have an account for, and then you can be participating in the chat. So the topic is how to simplify client editing in WordPress. And the description reads like, discover the full potential of WordPress editor and site editor in this presentation, designed to showcase the many ways you can simplify, curate the ways your clients edit content in WordPress. Will tackle a common challenge, creating a more controlled and user-friendly block editing experience that aligns with brand guidelines, limits user capabilities, and prevents accidental changes, and more. So you learn practical techniques like locked patterns, enabling content-only editing, disabling specific blocks, configuring the theme JSON, adjust editor settings, and restrict block functionality. So it's Nick Diego and Jamie Marsland, and they will discuss the current limitations and how you contribute to the future of WordPress to better support your clients and non-technical users. So that's kind of,
sounds great.
It's a really great topic, and there's so many questions that we get when we're on WordCamps or in other places on how can I make this go away? Yeah, kind of how can I how can I not have them change the color of things or something like that? Yeah. So
that's exactly the branding issue. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's a
and
big
fonts.
yeah. It's a big
don't
fear
change
for
don't change the type. I know you like those curly Q fonts, but no one can read them.
I know it's an existential fear from designers that clients mock up the design that they spend so much time
real.
to do it. Yeah, it's real. Yeah. So join Nick Diego and Jamie Marsland on October 15th, 1500 UTC. All right. So we talked about the plugin. Yeah, we're now to Gutenberg 19.4. And that's been released this week. And it had 186 PRs from 54 contributors. And of those 54 contributors, let me look at it first. So yeah, 6 were new of them. So congratulations for your first contribution to Gutenberg, to those new contributors. So let's start.
And again, what struck me was the amount of work that goes into it, and fixing bugs, cleaning up the UI. There's seems to be a lot more attention on that, which makes my heart sing.
Yeah, it's the first beta of 6.7 came out October 1st. And this is the first Gutenberg plugin after that that has a lot of bug fixes in there that will come into 6.7. The enhancements are locked, so those won't get into 6.7, but all the bug fixes that, or most of them, will come into 6.7. So let's start with the enhancement. So for end users, it's probably easier to find the query loop block. First of all, why would you know how that's called? Because it sounds so technical, but it's the posts and the post types and the blogs and all that. So all these keywords are now discoverable when you look for that. So what else is in there? Do you want to take turns on it?
I saw the the file block, allow content only editing. It's just, there's so many little things that users come across, and if you find something that doesn't seem right, just let the team know, because they clean it up. And it looks like that is one of the bugs that's been fixed. So that was good.
Yeah, it was if it was in content only, you weren't able to upload anything or do anything.
Yeah,
with it, so.
I mean, what? So it's a stumbling block that's been removed. Exactly, and the other one with the navigator, they just added a new, smoother transition for exiting certain scenarios. So I like that. Instead of this jarring, screen change. What else did we see? We talked about the zooming
Zoom out, we already talked about that. Yeah. There are quite a few enhancements for that. There's a content only zoom out mode, and then there's also only zoom out on inserters on block selection.
So help me understand this one, Birgit, because I think it's meant to ensure that the default block inserters display on hover, even on zoom out mode. So is that what it addressed?
Yeah, so you have that in Canvas too, that when you hover between blocks, that you all of a sudden get a sibling inserter. Yeah, and that's a little bit distractions in the zoom out mode. So it only will show up, let the inserter show when you actually select a block. So it's not gonna hover, when you hover over zoom out, it was showing every time you're going from one place to the next, it shows you an inserter, which you probably wouldn't need at that moment because you were just hovering. So now they're doing it when you select the
fine tuning.
section.
Yeah.
It's definitely,
that was great.
yeah. So the zoom out, so what will come to the 6.7 is the zoom out mode for patterns, but they're also working on other things on the zoom out and for the zoom out mode and kind of figuring out, okay, when can you do what in different scenarios.
Okay.
And so it's definitely in active development.
Yeah.
And we'll only have a reduced from the plugin to the 6.7. There's only a subset of that. It will come to 6.7 that they are very confident about. And the other ones, they're still kind of trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the data forms, the data views, we talked about quite a lot here on the podcast and also on the weekend edition. With 19.4, there's also the data forms component that's part of the data views that has now combined field support. So you can have form labels and fields next to each other. So they are all in columns or something like that. So there's the component now offers that particular feature for developers who use that for their plugins.
Okay, good.
So,
and then something about the edit mode, they updated the tools menu with the right and / design order. It was a lot of attention given to that. And to be honest, I've never, ever used that feature.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really see the point of it, but to me, it just adds to the clutter. I'm all for clearing out the clutter.
Yeah. I think it's also there for those who are traveling the canvas via keyboard navigation.
Okay.
So they can get out in and out. So that the problem there is that you need to navigate either to go from block to block or go into the block, and that's where the write and design or the write and design mode kind of changes. Is it either do you edit the block or do you want to select the block kind of, yeah. So for someone who's around the canvas with a keyboard, there's a toggle in between. For those who actually see what they're doing and use the mouse, it's almost seamless. So that's why you probably haven't used it, because you can select the block with the mouse and automatically are in the edit mode, but you can also scroll the canvas and then point with the mouse to get into an edit mode. But when you're around with a keyboard, you need the different modes to know if you're traveling up and down the canvas or you're going deeper into the block. I don't know if I explained it.
So it's like an accessibility tool.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Thank you for that explanation.
It probably also will get a little bit more prominent for the zoom out view, because then there's a different edit mode and a different select mode as well. Yeah, so there's similar concepts there that will come with the zoom out. Yeah. But I'm really excited about the next one, and that is that you now have a palette command to add a new page within the site editor, so you don't have to get out and out and out, go to the pages.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so sensible. It's like tackling the separation of content and design. It's just such a sensible addition. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a little quality of life kind of change for the connected blocks. The color is going to be purple, but now they also have a purple backdrop color. So you can really see, okay, this is the color, the purple was nice, but it also was very subtle. So with the background, it's a little bit more obvious. That's a connected block for the block.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if I agreed with that enhancement. My concern was, does it pass in accessibility tests? And I would assume it does, like that gets grayed out maybe for people with color blindness or issues.
Yeah, I'm not an accessibility kind of specialist, but I'm sure they have at least checked the color contrast with it, if it's a grayed out kind of backdrop there. Yeah.
So the color, the text is purple. It's a darker purple on a lighter purple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a more blurry kind of backdrop. Yeah. So the crisp It's actually an icon kind of stands out there.
Okay.
So for the next one, the extensibility new feature is that the pre-save post and the save post filters that were before unstable are now stabilized. And the difference is that if they're unstable, you never know what happens. There might be breaking changes if you use them for your plugin development. What they allow you is to add additional things to check before a post is saved. So if you don't have an excerpt, you can, as a plugin developer, you could prevent the post to save until an excerpt is added to it, or the featured image or something like, or any other kind of check that they want to do for the on the publishing thing. And you would use the pre-save post filter and then allow the save post filter as well if you want to save additional things with it. So these features were all there before, but they had the unstable something underscore unstable in front of it. And that means for any developer, okay, if I use this, I'm on my own. There's no documentation. There is no guarantee that it's backwards compatible and any of that. It can change anytime. When it's declared stable, it's kind of the promise of backwards compatibility is kind of attached to it. So a lot of plugin developers are really happy about that, I would think.
You're so good at explaining things.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Sometimes I think I'm kind of rambling a bit.
No, not for me. Works for me.
Thank you. The block hooks are now supporting asynchronous filters and actions. So if you want to go out and do something with another feature, you can use async methods for your plugin and your blocks that you add to another block. That's the block hooks, right? Block hooks are, there's a hook where you can say, after this paragraph, put a link there or put a hash there for whatever. And then now you can do it with async filters and actions. So cool. It's an enhancement for the developers that can, so they can use modern stuff like JavaScript. All right. So I think we are we through our post?
Or did I?
We are through enhancements.
I think so.
Nothing. Yeah. I think we have, there are two things I wanted to point out, I think, from the documentation. Yeah. So speaking about data views, all the documentation is actually in the storybook site that's attached to the Gutenberg repo. And they now added another page there that's kind of adds a high-level graphical representation of explaining data views and data source interaction, which is really helpful for those who want to use that. It's a new API, so documentation is always a little bit behind, but if you want to explore that, that's definitely here for your perusal.
I'm a big fan of visuals that help us understand concepts, so
yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah, me too. Gives you a little map of your clutter brain. I don't want to do mine. And there is another item in the documentation section of the changelog. They added another page for core concepts at the interactivity API documentation about using TypeScript within the interactivity API model. So that's definitely worth a read for those who use the interactivity API or those who want to use them and still trying to figure out a use case, which can be hard. I cannot see that. We will get there. Speaking of stable, the border box control component, as well as the border control and the box control, these three components are now also promoted to stable. So it's safe to use in your custom blocks, or if you use them in your plugin settings pages as well. So I'm glad that there's some work there to migrate things that have been around for a while to actually say, okay, make a decision. It's stable and we support backwards compatibility for that. It's definitely a commitment. And I don't know, some people have commitment issues, but not developers. So, so that's the changelog from Gutenberg plugin 19.4. Well, thank you so much for going through that with me. I also know just today, the developer blog has a roundup post every month called What's New for Developers. And it comes out today. Today is October the 10th, and the 10th is the publishing date. And I will add that to the show notes, so you can also not only look at the 19.4, but also what's coming from core into 16.7 and what's just new. Yeah, there's a ton of things in there. I reviewed it this morning and I was amazed what all is in there that was in 19.3, what's in 19.4, and also comes with 6.7 to WordPress. So it's definitely a great place to catch up. So now we're in the section.
And I've been keeping an eye. I'm sorry, Birgit.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been keeping an eye on the development and design of the next default theme, 2025.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And initially I thought, oh, I'll contribute to this, and I just haven't had the time. But I'm, keeping an eye on it. I'm getting really excited about new things that are coming our way when that's all ready. Several months ago, there was a call for, I think Carolina may have done this, but someone, probably Carolina, said, what would you like to see in the next default theme? And one of the things I mentioned was some more portfolio type of options for artists and designers and folks like me. And sure enough, there's a portfolio aspect to it for photo blogs, and I would think other applications. There's a bunch of stuff happening with grids, like the density of grid layouts, the data view options, patterns. We've got like we've been talking about today, the zoom out and the drag and drop. We didn't actually mention the drag and drop part of the zoom out, which
no, we did.
That was one of the most exciting parts for me. So when you're in the zoom in, you can drag and drop from somewhere.
Patterns.
From the patterns, that's right.
Patterns, yes, yeah. And you're in this zoom out mode. You can drag and drop them over.
Zoom out. Okay, yeah, got switched in my head. Another feature that's been mentioned elsewhere on the Twitterverse, for example, of the uploads for HEIC images. That's been enabled or will be enabled. And there are just so many different design tools that they're considering, like item colors and a list item, borders for different colors for borders, and paragraphs and buttons and things like that, and an integration of a light box similar to the gallery block. Well, maybe I have it twisted in my head there.
Yeah.
The gallery block will have a light box aspect to it. And then again, I always want to see, and I would love to see more work in the UI design and custom fields area. So we haven't really touched on that, but those are things that are of interest to me. So
that's
I think
all
they're doing a fabulous job.
Yeah.
Coming your way.
Coming your way to the WordPress instance near you with WordPress 6.7. And I wanted that sounded so technical with the HEIC image. Those are images made with an iPhone, and you can now upload them to your WordPress site without having to go into your computer, download them to your computer, and then go and upload them again. Now you can do this from your phone. And that's actually quite interesting. So you can use your WordPress site if you want to, like your Instagram kind of thing, but you have your own space there. Yeah.
Does it convert those images to JPEG?
Yes.
It does. So, it compresses them.
Yeah. That's actually the feature, because web browsers don't support HEIC images. So you need to convert them to what browsers do and to make them there. But on upload, it will do all the things, all the magic. Yeah. And
see, I don't rely on the native WordPress compression. I do that compression myself before I do an upload, and I convert to JPEG, but this is all on desktop. So if you want to go directly from your phone to your site, that's a nice feature.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do that want to share their photos, upload them to the blog. And then, of course, with the new 2025, and thank you for pointing that out, you are now getting great designs for photo blogs and portfolio things. I really like also the patterns that they offer for galleries. Yeah, there are 6 or 7
Oh,
patterns.
really? Yeah.
Yeah, that are in there.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and 6.7 comes with a bunch of new design tools. It's mainly borders for everybody. Every single block got now border
That could be a
controls.
blog title. Borders for all.
Borders for all. Yeah, borders are us. Oh no, that was a bookstore. That was a bookstore.
Oh, right. Right. Borders bookstore. Yeah.
So the images got their light box with 6.5, I think. There was nothing in there for 6.6. And then now with the 6.7, the gallery. So when you add images to the gallery, there's another feature there. There's actually when you upload a bunch of photos in your canvas, in your next post, it automatically creates a gallery. So that's also something. And then when you have an image block and you drag and drop another image next to it, it also automatically creates a gallery block. So you have them side by side.
Huh.
That's
okay. So
really
it doesn't
nice
automatically create a column.
No.
A column block.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And now when you're in the gallery, the link feature of the image, and that's also for the image block, the link feature, it kind of comes out as a drop down, the link button, and it gives you the choice. Do you want to link at it, or do you want to have a light box or a click?
I see.
Expand on click, because you can't have both. There's only one click, and it's either a link to someplace else, or you get your light box there.
Makes
that
sense,
you can set for every image in your gallery. So it's now possible.
Right.
And then
wouldn't it be curious if some of the gallery images clicked, when you clicked on them, you'd get a light box for one and then a link for what a mess.
Yeah,
you have to choose.
People. Yeah. Confuse your people. And then when all the pictures have the link to Lightbox, then you also get a gallery slider, not a slider, but a previous and next for your images. So you can actually watch the gallery in expand mode throughout the images. Yeah, so it's really.
Will there be a navigation device, or you just do it with your keyboard?
There will be arrows next to each
arrows,
other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I don't know if they're bullets, so you know how many are in there. I don't recall, but I need to test
Maybe
it again.
you can style them. Yeah. You could probably style them differently.
Yeah, you need to style them through CSS then. Yeah, you can.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, below the light box, the dots underneath.
Or levels. Yeah, so you kind of indicate how many of that. So yeah, glad that we talked about 6.7 a little bit. Yeah, the query loop definitely has some nice features in there. Now it knows the template you're adding it to, and then you can actually, Ryan Welcher did a great work on that, to add additional settings into the sidebar for the query loop log. So you can change the order, and you could do that as well. And then you have drop downs for categories and all that, taxonomy, different kind of taxonomies by author. It's really
I would really want to play with that.
Yeah.
Because what I was wondering, I think I read somewhere that you can have maybe a grid of 6, let's say, and then interrupt that pattern with maybe 2, and then go back to another grid of 6. So I think you can mix them, which is very exciting.
Yeah, and so you have 3 query blocks, and then each one of them can be a different category, or can have a different feature set or something like that.
Yeah, that's great. Outstanding.
Yeah, that's what you also see on we talked about 2025, that you have a different kind of blogs. So one is a simple blog, the other one is a photo blog, and the third feature is kind of a news blog. Kind of where you have multiple posts a day or something like that. You get a magazine view.
Yeah, the categories is perfect for a newspaper or magazine type of content.
Exactly, yeah. And there is one little trick that if you get some, because you have multiple query blocks, so it goes out and does the query multiple times, that might be a performance hit.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if you remove, because on that magazine look, you don't want that pagination there on the query loop, you can take that out of it. And then the performance is a little bit better there. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Yeah. All right.
All right.
So we're coming to the end of the show. And if people want to get in contact with you, how would they find you?
Oh, so on Twitter, who am I on Twitter? Let me have a look at myself on Twitter.
Yes.
Ask Design 2 and
okay. With the number 2, right?
With the number 2. And where else? On Instagram, am I the same? Probably.
So are you on WordPress Slack?
I am on WordPress Slack. Who am I there? Let's see. It's funny, you never look at yourself on these things. I am Ann Katzeff
Oh,
on
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So it's
So those would be 2
Katzeff,
places.
right?
Katzeff as in flower.
All right. And your website is
Ask Design, askdesign.biz. So when I was first getting my website up and running, askdesign.com was already taken. That domain name was already taken by a plumber. So my brother said, "What about .biz?"
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did.
Yeah, that's a good domain name. Yes. All right. So I will share all the links to Anne as well in the show notes. And thank you very much for taking the time and being here and going through the changelog with me and
My pleasure.
sharing all your blog theme experiences here.
Thanks for
And
the invite.
yeah, absolutely. You might get another one in a couple of months. Or
Okay.
yeah. So, dear listeners, always the show notes will be published on gutenbergtimes.com/podcast. And this is episode 109. And if you have questions or suggestions or news you want us to include, send them to changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. That's changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. Or just ping me on Twitter or on the WordPress Slack. That's it for now. I talk to you in 2 weeks with 19.5 and more about 6.7. Thank you so much, Anne, and goodbye.
Thanks so much, Birgit.